Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking through one of my favourite picture books that I own, David Roberts' Delightfully Different Fairy Tales. I believe he illustrated this with his sister. He co-wrote it, I think, with his sister, and he illustrated it because he's primarily an illustrator. And the concept is three different Grimm's fairy tales, but each is set in like a different era, which you wouldn't really expect in fairy tale adaptations. And I thought it was just really cool and fresh way on adapting some stories that have been done a million times, like Cinderella. So I just want to read to you from the back here, explaining his thought process of Cinderella, which is the first story that we'll be looking at. When I was asked to illustrate Cinderella, I thought it would be interesting to set the story in the 1930s. I've always had an interest in that period, and I wanted to incorporate Art Deco designs alongside those of earlier periods. My background in fashion design made it especially fun to research the wardrobe for Cinderella and her wicked stepfamily. In creating these characters, I was influenced by movie stars, magazine covers, and art of the 1920s and 30s. The paintings that decorate the walls are my humble interpretations of those Augustus John and Tamara di Limpica, don't know who they are, and the wallpaper, furniture, and pottery are all based on real Art Deco designs. The illustrations were done in pen and ink with watercolour on hot pressed heavyweight paper. So if I just take a flip through, no end papers, which probably a wasted opportunity, but David Roberts, I found on Instagram. I found this book on Instagram, and I just thought it was a really cool concept. There's a little bit more here about him working with his sister if you want to pause and read it. Cinderella, Rapunzel, and Sleeping Beauty are the stories in this book. So let's have a chill little flip through. I would say David Roberts' style in this is a little bit looser than normal. I think what's different about this one, I've got a few of his books, but the other ones seem to be more pencil, and I feel like they've been done with pencil crayons, and they're a little bit softer. Obviously this is ink, like I've just said, so we have the lines around the characters, but it makes it feel a little bit more Quentin Blakey. There was an old TV show called Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids that I used to watch, and this kind of reminds me of that vibe of the animation in that. Obviously this is a lot more refined and beautiful to look at. It's an interesting era to set Cinderella in, because for me, when I think about Cinderella, I think about the dress, and I don't love the dresses and the gowns and the evening wear in this era of fashion. It was all very limp and kind of flat and straight lines, so I wouldn't even think to set Cinderella in this era. I don't love Cinderella's ball gown dress in this, I will say, but I think Cinderella has been done so many times. It is nice and refreshing to see a different take to it. It's funny how she's got like a little copy of Vogue, it looks like, in her pocket. Was Vogue a thing during this period of time? I don't know. An interesting choice for a fairy godmother. I feel like it's a ghost. I'm not quite sure why or how that has come to be, but it's cute. She's got a cute design. It does look like a ghost. I don't know if it's supposed to be a ghost, but it looks like a ghost. So yeah, her dress is very straight and flapper-like. I do like the car. The car looks really cool. And I would say the shawl here is doing the heavy lifting. Like, the shawl gives it a little bit more. I would say this period of time you do think about people dancing and going out for dance and drinks. So it kind of makes sense to have a ball, because I guess the other big part of Cinderella is the ball and the party. This is a beautiful shot here. I love the colours. I love the silver dress, like the teal and the blues in the background for the sky. The shoes are very sharp. And I like this prince's red costume against her silver. These characters are not pretty. Me as an artist, as an illustrator, I tend to want to make things look beautiful, unless it's like deliberately not supposed to be. In terms of like facial features. It's just nice to like appreciate the artwork. I feel like it's bizarre because children's books, really, like 90% of the children's books is the artwork. That's the thing that sells the books. That's the thing that takes up the most space, but I don't feel people really ever appreciate the artwork. People remember the authors more than the artists, I feel. So I hope you appreciate these beautiful pictures. I know I've just said the characters aren't beautiful, but overall the illustrations are beautiful to me. Yeah, really fun, interesting take on Cinderella. So next we have Rapunzel. Rapunzel's set in the 70s. Again, really fun period. I like how he spaced out the time periods between all the stories. This feels like a very British take on Rapunzel, which I love. These skyline apartment complexes, buildings, whatever you want to call them, like, it feels like it's set in London. A great design for her Mother Gothel. I love these goggles, so fun. Just a really fun, visually striking image of this like chubby little witch woman in these goggles, getting ready to ride a motorbike, going up this grey, bleak tower building, which, to be fair, a lot of the high-rise flats in London look bleak, especially the ones made from like the 70s and 80s. The mother is, she works in the school as a cook. Why are always in like children's media, TV and stuff, like the cook is always like the evil one? I don't know if it's because like children sometimes can be a bit picky about the food or like have anxiety about eating. I loved school dinners. I loved the cooks. The cooks were like the nicest people in the school to me. It's always funny. It's like a trope that happens a lot. It's like the women that work there are evil. doing her aerobics, love that. The prince stand-in is much cuter than the previous prince. Look at me rating the men in children's books. I believe this is like tied to music as well, so I think the prince stand-in is in a band and he introduces her to music and they bond over music, and we've got all these like cool references here in the background. Saturday Night Fever, Kate Bush. I love Kate Bush, huge Kate Bush fan. ABBA, Elton John. Don't know who these two are, so if you do know, let me know in the comments. Blonde here, and another Kate Bush album. I think that's Kate Bush. I could be wrong. But it's just like a fun opportunity to add some pop culture of the time into it. It really does feel like you're in the 70s. The fashion, the colours, the prints, love it. I was once told that working in fashion is a good way to become an illustrator, or a good history to have when you're doing illustration, because it teaches you about colour theory and patterns and trends. And quite a few of the illustrators that I admire have a history in fashion, so I guess that says something. He falls down on the mattresses. A beautifully simple picture. Love the mattress designs. The stains on the mattress. It's all fun. Rapunzel with her hair. I do like the aesthetic of around this time. I don't know, within the last few years I've really like leaned into colours from this time, colour palettes. At the time of this recording, I've been watching The Traitors, and Stephen is dressed in what I would call like 60s, 70s clothes, but like with a modern twist. I love it. I love the colours, I love the fit. I don't know what it is about, like, since the noughties, we've kind of just like, fashion has become all over the place. We don't really have distinct looks anymore. You could, in theory, like, turn me off and read the book if you want to read the book as well. Cute band guys, like this guy. I think this wraps up the story where she becomes a wig maker, which is fitting. This panel, I just love this whole image. Love the wallpaper, love the toys. Just love everything about this. I love her clothes, the stitches, the puffs like peasant sleeves. Love the platforms. This is just a really, really nice image. Now the last one is Sleeping Beauty, and this is actually, I should talk about the Rapunzel before I go on. Should have read this first, I'm sorry. When I was asked to illustrate the second fairy tale, my first being Cinderella, the Art Deco fairy tale, we know because it's in the book, I was very keen to use the story of Rapunzel. At my sister's suggestion, I decided to set the story in the 1970s Tower Block. The obvious association with the 70s being Rapunzel's long hair. As a child growing up in that time, I was very influenced by the music, films, fashion, and design of the period. In researching this book, I looked at old family photos, magazines to help me remember the clothes and the toys that I owned as a child. I've incorporated record sleeves, film posters, furniture, and product design from this period into my illustrations. I also wanted to link Cinderella to Rapunzel in a subtle way. I imagined the families to be related, and so a few artifacts from Cinderella have been passed down and found their way into Rapunzel's home, which is really interesting. I mean, I'm sure if you can go back and look for the artifacts. That's a good way for the children to find something to do, like pick things out. I've not noticed the artifacts yet, although I've read this a couple of times, but I've not actually looked for them. So, Sleeping Beauty is slightly different, as it's like set in a few time periods, or 2 different time periods, so I'll just read the notes. I was excited to be working with my sister on another fairy tale retelling. We decided on Sleeping Beauty because we wanted to play around with time and explore how we could represent the passage of 1,000 years. We both loved films and TV shows of the 1950s that looked at a futuristic world, from robots to aliens, spaceships, flying cars. Mid-century view of furniture was full of style and innovation. Sorry. We both thought it would be great fun to show Sleeping Beauty wake after 1,000 years sleep into a world that looked very much like the one she had dreamed about as a teenager in the 1950s. The 50s was a great time for music too, particularly music aimed at a young audience. This gave us the perfect opportunity to switch the spinning wheel spindle in the original story into a record player needle, on which Annabelle pricks her finger. Love it. The Wicked Fairy is inspired by the Disney villains I grew up watching. She wears green in homage to a number of Disney film counterparts. Now, he says he's inspired by Disney villains, but for me the inspiration looks very much like Roald Dahl, The Witches, but you'll see in a minute. I got very tired of the set formula of fairy tale with its male hero rescuing the female character, and was keen to change that setup for our version. Lynn was very much in agreement, and in the end removed all the male characters from the story, instead giving us Zoe, the intrepid, library-loving, history-obsessed teenage hero who breaks the sleeping spell cast on Annabelle. I will say, Mr. Roberts, if you're watching, he's not watching, my only critique about this is Sleeping Beauty being saved by another woman has been done so many times. Whether it's like a kiss, like was it Sleeper in the Spindle by Neil Gaiman? Like on TV, like Frozen, even Maleficent, which is another take of Sleeping Beauty. A woman saving a woman has been done so many times. I know there's a lot of controversy about a kiss now in fairy tales and whether or not it's consensual. I think that's a little bit extreme. And I spoke to children's writers before about including kisses in children's books. Apparently it's a no-no. So I know it's a weird subject to approach while adapting an older fairy tale from a different time that had different standards. I think it would be more revolutionary to have 2 boys, a boy saving a boy, because a girl saving a girl has been done. A girl dressed in armour has been done to death. So it feels like it's trying to be forward thinking, but in my opinion I don't think it's that forward thinking. I think it's very old, and I'm kind of tired of seeing women save women now. I want to see a man save a man. I want to see a man kiss a man and wake him up with a kiss. I think that would be very sweet, but yeah, maybe that's a subject for another video. There was a controversy a few years ago where there was some like leather daddies kissing in a children's book. So I mean, it has been done. People hated that though. So anyway, back to the story. This is still beautiful. I don't think it's very like I don't know what's the word. It's not groundbreaking to have a girl rescue a girl. But we start off with the 1950s. This, I feel like, is an odd one because the mother, I'll show you in a second. So, we have the party where all the fairies come to grant a gift. I guess they're normal people in this. I don't think they are fairies except for the witch. This I love. So, going back to what he said this is very much inspired by villains, Disney villains. For me, when I see this, I just think of the witch in the High Grand Witch in The Witches. I love this. It's beautiful. I love the costume. I love the face. I love the hair. Love the black leather gloves. Love the green of it all. And I love this kind of shape. Reminds me, takes me back to the first fairy tale where it's talking about Art Deco. That shape feels like something that you might see in like a hotel or something from that period of time. Don't know if that was intentional. I love this image. It's a beautiful image. It's going to be hard picking a thumbnail for this video because there's so many amazing images in this book. So we have, oh yeah, so the girl grows up. She's still in her 1950s era. Love this, the little leg from the witch. She gets a record player, it's Elvis, pricks a finger on the record player. Another beautiful image. I love the shapes in the background. I was talking to an art director about this recently. I tend to want to be very like literal with my backgrounds, and I'll draw the surroundings where the character is supposed to be, and I think I could get a little bit more experimental with my background. Obviously she's fallen into a trance, so there's not an actual need to draw a background in here, and I love the circles, this effect. It feels like the Wizard of Oz. It feels just really cool, and she really stands out with her white dress. I love her dress, it's beautiful. This is a cool image as well, just the witch watching it all unfold. Love the use of white space. I've not really talked about the text, but throughout this book there's a lot of white space. It's another thing that I need to lean into. So early on I said this one's weird. I never quite understood this. The mother literally turns into thorns, a thorn bush for no reason when the girl pricks her finger. Never quite understood this. We've got like the same effect from the previous page, but different gradient of colour. Love it continuing through. A really nice use of like a vignette as well. A cool passage of time. I'm sorry, the lighting was so beautiful. A minute ago the sun was out and everything looked brilliant, and now it's cloudy. Beautiful library, love this. Here we have the stand-in for the prince. I love that book design that she's picked up. This is set 1,000 years in the future, so very, it's like the Jetsons basically. Beautiful book cover, stunning, love it. This girl reads the fairy tale and somehow realizes it's real and goes to find the princess. Forgot her name. She crawls through the thickets and the thorns that were once her mother. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about the girl being brought up by a lesbian couple. That is kind of groundbreaking. But this, however, I'm not impressed with. Some really beautiful imagery here, beautiful colours, beautiful competitions. It's all just beautiful. I love how he draws the roses. It's very stylized. I like how these images sit neatly within a shape. A lot of them are square or circle. And again, great use of white space. Don't have to go into too much detail drawing all the backgrounds sometimes. you see her waking up, it's just focused on her waking up. Love the white area around it, brilliant. Love this image of this cool like robot character in the background. Feels like German, I want to say expressionism, but I don't. Though I'm a designer, I don't know too much about periods of design in history. And there we have it. I really love this book. I just find it so inspiring. It's one that I look at quite often. I probably look at it the most out of all my books. And it's just a nice way to adapt fairy tales. And I've often thought of like, if I was to adapt a fairy tale, what time period would I set it in? I really don't know. I love certain time periods for the fashion. I do love the 60s and the 70s. I love the 80s. I think that would be fun to set something in the 80s. I even like the 90s because I grew up in the 90s, and I feel like the 90s, I know, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like the 90s was the last time we had a very distinct look and feel. Yeah, anyway, that's me done. I hope you enjoyed. If you stayed to the end, thank you. I post videos where like I look through children's books like this, and I look through my sketchbooks and I draw a lot. So if those things interest you and you want to join the ride, hit my subscribe button, give me a like and a comment. And if you want to see more, you can always join my Patreon, where I post in-depth stuff about the stuff that I'm working on, projects that I'm working on. My portfolio reviews are in there. Yeah, extra artwork, high-res versions of my artwork. So I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching.